So, hello everyone. This month is National Family Caregiver Month. Again, National Family Caregiver Month. And so, with that, many of you have probably been like me, where in some form or fashion, whether you were a direct or shall I say primary or secondary, somewhere along the way, a caregiver, especially when it comes to your parents. And it can be your parents, it can be a spouse, it can be a child of yours that is in need, or children. For some individuals, they have more than one child who's in need of some type of care, especially as an adult. So, in saying all of that, by being National Family Caregiver Month, this is created, the founder of it is the Caregiver Action Network. And so the theme for this month is for caregivers, especially family caregivers, to plug in, to resources, communities, and support. All of that is really good. And those resources really have, some of them have really been out there and have helped a whole lot of people. But one thing that I will say, in which a lot of you, a lot of us already know, is that when it comes to being a caregiver, in that there's some limitation when it comes to the resources. There's some limitation when it comes to community. There's some limitations when it comes to support. So with me, for those of you who do not know, I am Sharon D. Brown. I am the founder of Self-Care U Academy. And with Self-Care U Academy, focus on helping, helping, really empowering, entrepreneurs and leaders to sustain their sanity. That's the main thing, without losing themselves as they are being successful, especially when it comes to their calling. And so with that, with me, one thing I can say is I do have personal experience. It's not just in the work that I do in helping, other individuals, whether it's family or friends of someone who may have a mental health diagnosis, but it's also in helping people through things and helping other people. So with National Family Caregiver Month, I'm going to focus on this. It's kind of like it's been in my head, so I need to make sure I share all of this information with you all as well, because it is so important. Because I know when I was in the heart of it, when it was going on, I didn't feel alone or anything like that. But if anything, it's like it's so much. And so what I want to help you with is to help you to take care of yourself. I kind of call it self-caregiving, because we're really good at taking care of others, and sometimes some of you may need to drop everything to take care of someone else. And I want you to remember all of that, because some of you, again, may be taking care of a parent or a grandparent, may be taking care of a spouse, or maybe taking care of a child in need you may be experiencing someone who may have a medical mayhem, dealing with cancer, dealing with stroke, dealing with a heart attack, or something else that really interferes or even stop of someone of being themselves or taking care of themselves, especially if it's an adult. Of course, it can be dementia of so many different levels as well. And so, in saying that, as I said, with Caregiver Action Network, the focus is on plug into care. I want you to focus on unplugging, because sometimes you can be so plugged in until it is depleting you. It is tearing you apart because it is so much. I know when my parents, with all of their medical mayhem, and it was a lot. And when I look back on it, and I'm like, how did I get through it? And one thing I can say, it wasn't the only thing, because there were other things in my life that had stressed me out as well. But it added to it where, pretty much I ended up having problems with my shoulder and had rotator cuff surgery. Again, it wasn't the only thing, but it added to it. I'm saying that to you because of the fact that sometimes when you are being a caregiver, it can interfere with your mental wellness, with your well-being, and with you physically too. Because statistics do show that sometimes caregivers are the ones who end up having mental health issues, having medical issues, or even dying at a high percentage. And I want to help to decrease that. And one of the ways that you can decrease that is by taking 5. And sometimes I know you say, oh, Sharon, I can't do it because I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to do this. But one of the ways to take 5 is to remember you're doing it so that you can have the energy, you can have the capacity, you can have, your mind won't be so full of all of the things that you're doing, so that you can at least have some space in there where you can breathe. That's the reason for taking 5, whether it's 5 breaths, 5 minutes, 5 steps, but something to pretty much release and knock out of all of the stress that you're doing. Because if you keep running, again, I realize it's a lot. And some of you all may not have any help. But if you need to sit in a corner, even stand in a corner, put on some music, and just stand there and breathe. And no, it may not, by you doing that, it doesn't mean that your loved one will get better. I'm not saying that at all, but I want you to be well as a family caregiver. Because when you're not well, then someone else would need to step in to take care of you, to help take care of your loved one as well. The other thing is that with taking 5, it's for you to reset, so that all of the stress and all of the running around, like one of the things that I did do when I would say it was the height of my parents' medical mayhem, my stepdad had a heart attack, and somewhere in between there, my mom was in and out of the hospital. And there were a lot of other medical stuff going on with my mom prior to that. I mean, they both had medical conditions prior to that. But the thing is that what I had to do, because I was living out of state when my stepdad had a heart attack. And every other weekend, I would go home to help, do my part of taking care of them, following up with different things, making sure people get appointments, and if anything, being emotional support, especially like for my mom. And so one of the things that I did, because one of the reasons that I was back and forth is because I was working part-time. And I'm like, gosh, it just seems like I can't get any rest. I'm just so tired. Yes, it was everything that was going on, but I'm like, I need some type of relief so I can have some time to myself. And so I let go of that part-time job. For some individuals, you may not be able to do that financially, but I looked at it and said, yeah, it would be tight, but I need my energy for myself so that I can have the energy for my parents. And so what are some things that you can let go so that you can reset? Because otherwise I would not be completely resetting either. And the other thing to remember, especially when it comes to, I'm going to say more so when it comes to loved ones who are not your children, because it's different when it's your children. Some people would say, well, no, it's not different when it comes to your parents, but I just say, generally for some people it's different when it comes to the children. So I'm talking about adults here. I'm not even talking about adult children. So when I say children, I'm just saying whether it's an adult or not. But when it comes to your loved ones, like your parents or your spouse, in that, I want you to remember, brace yourself, that you are not a rescue. You cannot save everyone. And so with that this is where radical acceptance come in. Because for anyone who knows, when it comes to a heart attack, when it comes to even having a stroke, when it comes to even someone who's on dialysis, or someone who's a diabetic, or someone who has high blood pressure, in that sometimes there are things that people can do to help prevent or to alleviate some of the symptoms, all of that. Let's say when it comes to eating, we cannot make adults not eat something or make adults to eat something. And so in saying that, sometimes your parents may listen to you, and thank goodness for those of you who have parents who listen. Nah, I didn't have the pleasure of that. And so in that, I definitely had to practice and continue to learn about patience. Because we can't. And with radical acceptance is accepting everything that is happening and that you have no control over it. Once I was able to accept that, because of course I'm still going to do the things that I'm going to do, but I approach it in a different way. What made me accept radical acceptance was one day, I know I was making doctor's appointments. It's like, oh yeah, remember your appointment is here, your appointment is here. And I was just making sure everything was in order, and I was reminding, I think I was reminding my mom, of course remind my dad as well. And my mom has said something, I don't even remember what she has said, but whatever she has said, I came to the realization, okay, I'm making more of a big deal of the appointments, of everything. It doesn't seem as important to her. It doesn't seem as important to them as it is for me. So that for me is where it came to be radical acceptance. So at least internally, I had to change how I was thinking about it and even how I was reacting to it. And with that, a lot of relief came. I said, okay, I am the daughter who is a chauffeur. I don't have a problem with that. Not saying that I still advocated and then still, reminded them of appointments, made appointments and all of that. But my approach internally was different. And even in, I could just say, of not having the frustration of them not doing some of the things that can benefit them as well. And so that's the other thing. Again, it is a way to unplug. So with radical acceptance is a way to unplug. And then also too, the other thing is to split tasks if you're able to. If you're able to split tasks, meaning there's more than one family member can do the quote unquote run around, another one can make the doctor's appointments, and even when it comes to the urgency and the emergency, especially if someone has to physically be, let's say if your loved one have to go to the emergency room, if there's more than one person who can go there, and so, because sometimes it doesn't always mean, I'm going to say this, is that, yeah, the first couple of times people are there, let's say family members are there, for support and all of that. But when it becomes, like with my parents, I know it's over like 10 times, both of them have gone to the emergency room. And so over time, you kind of figure out, like what you can respond to, whether or not you need to physically be there or not. And so in saying all of that, that helps you with your mental well-being. It's so important because it is stressful in and of itself. And so the other thing I want to talk about too regarding the plug-in into, like I say, when it comes to resources, community support and just support, they are there, but there are limitations of it. And so in saying that, for family caregivers, in that, start looking at everything that you're experiencing now and how you can plan for yourself. We don't want to, like put anything on us, but just meaning financially, where are you? Talk to, a financial advisor, a financial planner. If you want some information on that, I can definitely give you some information regarding that, some resources, because that is the biggest part of it. Because when it came to my parents, they were financially comfortable and they were able to be able to afford independent living and even assisted living, but assisted living definitely took all their money, you know what I'm saying? But they generally was able to afford it, but a lot of people are not. And so in being a family caregiver, it's part of it too, is planning for your own. Like if anything was to ever happen, how can you plan for that so that it can help your family to take care of you. Like for myself, I always say, hey, I want my family to look after me, not to have to take care of me. And there's a difference within that. So that means there's certain things that I need to do in order, to help that. Of course, we know anything can happen, but what efforts are you putting into taking care of yourself? And especially by being an entrepreneur and being a leader. So that's the other part of it too. Again, it's like if you're a leader in any one, if you have children or a spouse, you're a leader in your home. So that's the number one thing there. But when it comes to your job, you're a leader there. And then especially being an entrepreneur, you're a leader even if you're solo. So in saying that, what policies do you have set up that support? Of course, you have things set up to support a person who may be experiencing, medical challenges. But for the family, I'm going to say other than FMLA, other than that, because that has this limitation too. What is past the 12 months? And then for individuals who work part-time somewhere, sometimes those benefits may not apply. But for those of you, for corporations and organizations, in that, what policies do you have in place? What programs do you have in place? And what practices, meaning how do you approach someone? What is your interaction with a family member who's a caregiver? Are you empathetic, with that person? Have empathy and compassion, even though we know when it comes to the job has to be done. However, that person just may not be able to be, and even if they're present at work, they may not truly be present. And so, what practices do you have? How do you approach it? And again, with Self Care U Academy, this is one of the things we do is like when it comes to entrepreneurs and leaders is how to have that self-care for yourself. And so in celebration of National Family Caregiver Month, we'll be talking about things from the point of view of the family caregiver. And what I've already mentioned are things in which you can do, especially when it comes to the Take 5. We want you to take care of yourself. So one way for entrepreneurs and leaders who are caregivers, one way that you can support yourself is to join the Fortitude Free Circle. The Fortitude Free Circle is a circle for entrepreneurs and leaders so that you can build discipline of taking the 5, so that you can challenge yourself. You can embrace challenges, because being a caregiver is definitely a challenge in and of itself, and so that you can sustain resilience, because being a caregiver is not the easiest thing in the world. It is not. It is not. It is not. It is not. And the thing is, for most of us, we will probably become a caregiver in some form or fashion. Sometimes it may be, helping your parents or your grandparents with appointments. And sometimes it's beyond that. And so make sure that you do the things that are going to benefit you so that you can be the best caregiver of all, because the best caregiver are those who are self-caregivers. And for those of you who want to join the circle, comment or DM me circle so that you can get more information to come in.